Hello and welcome to day 2 of FTLG Marathon. We're gonna start it off with a race. We had a race, Sawnek had a race yesterday actually, and now he had so much fun, so he wanted to do it again. So he's up here with Snake to do it's a pretty interesting one. We have Resident Evil 2, but Sawnek will be running the OG game, and Snake will be running the remake. So hello guys again and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Should be exciting. I think this is our third Resident Evil 2 race where we've put the remake against the original. I think we've done this will be the third of four scenarios. I think we did both Claire A and Claire B over the last year, and now we get to what is arguably the hardest scenario for both the remake and the original, which is Leon B.
Yeah. So I don't know why we chose this. Maybe we hate ourselves, or I don't know. Something along
We were
those
feeling
lines.
a bit.
They just love pain, guys. They just love pain.
Exactly.
Pain and donation is what they like.
But with that being said, I'm just going to quickly get my notes up. And I'm ready.
Thank you
whenever
for the
you
reminder. Nearly did have the puzzles up there, and I would have been screwed.
I was sat here kind of looking. I'm like, something is missing. I've got the speedrun tool. I've got my splits. I've got the game. Got myself, most importantly. But I'm not seeing any notes, which I need for later.
Yeah, I'm ready, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
on,
I'm
so.
ready whenever. Do you want to count us in?
I'm count us in. Am I okay? We'll go with on 3 this time. I did 5 for Tom yesterday, but I'm going to change it up. I like to keep you guys guessing.
Spice it up.
Yeah, so 3, 2, 1, go.
Right, good luck, dude.
Thought it was gonna be 4.5 today, but okay, let's go with 3. That's fine.
So I guess the first big similarity is we kind of both start off with the exact same section. I start off a street early, but you're going to see that myself and Snake are kind of in the same area. Both starting off on the other side of what would be the A scenario. One of the big things in Resi 2 was kind of the zapping system, kind of how one character will do one thing and another will do another, depending on what you do.
You don't get this messy place, though.
That's very true. I don't have to deal with the... took a bite straight away. It's interesting. Definitely going to have to pull out the safety strats, I think. Because, like we said, I think for both Resi 2 Remake and the original, the one thing they have in common is that this run is probably, arguably, the hardest of the 4 scenarios that have been shipped with the game.
Yeah.
So I made it into the RPD just as Snake's got the famous bolt cutters.
Go forward to this.
The old courtyard, every remake player's favourite area of the game.
Yeah, that's going to happen to me today.
That's okay. So we actually both took a bite in what I think is essentially the exact same area. So, you know what, I'll take that.
Yeah, and for the OG, the probably worst part of this is probably the Stars hallway.
Yeah, I'd definitely say the opening 5 minutes of this are brutal. I've learnt a very good lesson over the last couple of weeks of practice, where I've spent the good part of about 2 hours per stream kind of in the opening section. But it's almost like this gauntlet. You've got like the Mr. X dodge coming up in just about 30 seconds or so, and then kind of just back-to-back stuff that can definitely lead you back to the main menu if you're not careful.
Yeah, so that was kind of the interesting part about the OG. You play like Leon or Claire A or whatever you did, and then, oh, I know this game now, I can play B, and then Mr. X shows up. Like, oh, it's this guy!
Exactly that. Thankfully got the dodge. I was a little bit worried because I've not practiced that. But straight from Mr. Rex, this big old hulking tyrant, to this very small room that has a handful of lickers.
Oh, lovely.
All about movement here, trying to get like these guys just to jump in a certain way so we can kind of avoid getting slashed. But sometimes it can't be avoided, they'll just swipe at you. And there's another one. Falling from the sky. think what's interesting is we've actually both started at very similar sections of the RPD, but I think right now you're at the bottom floor, I'm kind of at the top. So first item bank of the run. I think, Snake, you do it a little bit earlier, don't you, with the item box?
Yeah, I do, yeah. So, one of the funny things were differences between OG and this was like a kind of a nod to the original, I guess. But as in the original, you had to get like a special costume to get Leon to shoot sideways. But on the remake, it's specific to the gun he picks up.
Yeah, I love that they added, like, because both Claire and Leon on the B scenario get, like, a secondary weapon, don't they? And I think with the handgun or, like, for Claire B, the Colt SAA.
The quick draw arm, but this is the same gun, and, like...
Slot's favourite weapon.
They definitely...
Always got to make that.
It's definitely a nod to the OG game, using those guns in particular, or the way Leon holds it, and the Colt SAA for
that's the
Claire.
one thing you got to give... Definitely got to give credit where it's due, where like they have paid a lot of tribute to like the original, where even though the Easter egg isn't there, like the weapons still are.
Yeah.
So where Snake would have met Claire maybe like a couple of minutes ago, this is kind of where we meet her, but we also meet most of the cast here. So we've got Sherry, who thankfully today we don't have to deal with. So we're going to grab this key. I'm just wondering if we'll have another stage where we might run past each other here, because I think you're heading towards the library right now, where I just kind of was.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's our library.
Who is she? I don't know. But it's too dangerous for her to stay.
But I do love how like the remake changes a lot of the RP, or like doesn't change a lot of it, but it changes certain parts in a way where it's quite confident to do so. Where like I think they did it perfectly in the remake. I don't think there's anything I would have changed.
They did a really good job on keeping it as the game was, and still threw old fans off at points. New puzzles and everything.
So
Yeah.
Playing it a little bit safe here. And doing what I call the shotgun strat. It does waste a bit of time, but for the sake of this marathon, I'm not going to do that dodge. I would argue it's probably the hardest dodge in potentially the trilogy, like the OG trilogy of that room. And I can do it in the PB. For some reason, I just cannot do it when I'm streaming or when I'm online, so we just opt for the shotgun strat here.
As normally you don't pick up the shotgun at all. It's it's just a safety strat, really. But that dodge is heard of. Because you have like zombies coming towards you around the corner, and you have one on the floor on the other side, so you can't really go around them either.
Exactly, like it's this very small corridor. You've got like 4 zombies and then 1 crawling zombie, and the other 4 aren't too bad. It just tends to be the one that's crawling around who tends to cause quite a lot of issues.
Because you have the 4 ones you kind of in a line cramped up together on one side, and yeah, I can just run around them, and now there's a crawler there. Thank you, game.
The very moment. Thank you very much, game. I appreciate you. But the moment you get grabbed, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much GG at that point. There's not really any way to continue.
Wow, how did I not get bit?
So already Snake's done with RPD 1. It does definitely, like, I think both RPD 1 is quite short on both scenarios. Definitely a little bit shorter on the remake, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the B side is longer in the original than the A side, but like flips it the other way in the remake. I see Kazza talking about not cursing us by not betting, but to be honest, we're both playing Leon B. The curse is already there.
we have both had some very interesting. I mean, we both got beat at the same point, so I think it's safe to say that we've been cursed.
I mean, the run is cursed with the marathon curse already. So if Kazza would curse it, would that then uncurse it? I don't know.
Maybe.
Exactly. I mean, it might undo it potentially. So just getting out of the Marvin room here, just as Snake's at G1, which going the wrong way here. I won't have to face for a good while.
Just a heads up that people that haven't seen this game, this is not Leon's normal costume. I do have a, because we're allowed in the speedruns of RE2 Remake, I have Dante's coat from Devil May Cry on.
And it does look very clean. And I mean, given that DMC started off as Resident Evil 4, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about that, we have a Devil May Cry run later today by Speedy-ish, so...
Okay, I was doing a nod to Speedy.
There you go.
It's like a little high five. Like, yeah.
Little reference to a later run. It's looking like a very stacked day for runs as well. I was having a look through the schedule. We were even chatting about Pepsi Man coming up next, which I'm very hyped for. I want to look at the cutscene %.
Yeah, because we did reach that goal yesterday, so we will have cutscene %, which you don't want to miss. Those cutscenes are next level. I assure you. Snake can assure you as well.
See, like I was saying in the voice call before we started, puts Hideo Kojima's cutscenes to shame.
And that says something, especially coming from Snake as well.
What's very interesting is we've both met Ada about the same time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sonic hasn't even fought G1 yet, so...
It just goes to show like some of the changes they made as well with how early G1 is fought. Like I think in terms of like the OG's pacing it, I guess you can make the argument that it might be a little bit off because you don't, like if you're playing casually, you don't fight the first boss in the game for a fair bit. You've got to go through RPD 1, RPD 2, and it's only at the end of that before you go to the sewers that you face the first boss. So I guess with the remake they wanted to kind of pace it out a little bit better, which makes total sense.
Yeah, I would say like back half of the game in OG, you kind of have bosses stacked up on each other. Well, it's the same boss, essentially, but...
Yeah, it's almost like a gauntlet, isn't it? Back to back.
Him constantly Pokemon evolving, so...
Is this the guy?
Ben, you told the city officials that you knew.
So I guess one big thing as well is
What's been going on?
that my cutscenes aren't skippable. So I'm kind of sat here watching these lovely cutscenes. No, I'm pretty much front to back at this point. I think you'll find most OG runners do.
Yeah, just watching Ben who never miss the neck day at the gym. His neck is massive.
Honestly.
I don't know anything.
I'm really looking at it now, and he has weights tied around his neck as he's just.
I say we leave him in there. Does anyone know where they put the
Oh, I hate dogs, man. I
have it right here.
hate them.
Carrying on the theme from last night's range mode race of dogs just being rough and not being fun at all.
And being everywhere as well.
Why?
Too bad
cats
Leon
are so
forgot
much
his sword.
better?
Yeah.
I'm not leaving this cell. Get out of here before you.
Why couldn't it just be a cat? A cat would have just stayed there asleep, stay out of the way.
What?
Maybe it hissed at you as you ran past or something.
Nice, getting that dodge as well, but then getting bit by him because he's annoying. Oh,
Elliot
lovely.
deciding to block the way there. What's interesting is like Elliot kind of gets fleshed out a bit in the remake. In the original, we don't see it because we skip all the FMVs, but Elliot shows up for the good part of about 5 seconds before he shoots down a helicopter.
Yeah.
Whereas here he is expanded upon a little bit.
Why didn't even put me on fine, man?
Oh, you're joking.
It's literally put me 5 HP off being on fine. Oh, whatever.
Yeah, if you think of the remake like in like a first playthrough, it really plays a big part because you need his notebook to actually solve the puzzles if you don't look it up.
And if I remember right, they change the puzzles in B, don't they? And with the actual note that you pick up,
yeah, because
it's completely obscured.
yeah, you can see like one, I think, in the B scenario, and you can. I think the lion statue actually have a film you can develop to get the solution for it. So.
I don't think I've introduced myself yet. My name's Leon. I'm with the
Snake's just getting through RPD 2, whereas I've kind of got this section where we play as Ada. Snake will play as Ada later on in the game, but like I said, like we said, they've kind of changed a lot of the pacing.
You think we
A lot better.
At least they were nice enough to let you through there.
give me a boost? I'll go and check.
A lot nicer to play as Ada than Sherry, though, at this point.
Absolutely.
With their infamous leg drops.
Thank you for that, Sawnek. Thank you for saying that.
I shouldn't have said a word, I'm sorry. So meanwhile, Snake's going through what's probably one of the more intense parts of the game, and I'm just sat here watching cutscenes for a bit.
That little girl must have dropped this. I think I'll hold on to it for her.
Scared though, because this part can be quite rough as well, as Ada. Hopefully these zombies behave themselves.
It was a bit of a mix-up from the A scenario when you get dogs here.
Yeah, I think it's zombies as well with Claire B, which is funny because with Sherry, they can't reach her, so they end up throwing up on her.
Yeah.
They use that herb as well. Oh my god. Just gonna have to be on caution for ages. I was thinking of this herb here, but I already used it earlier.
Is there a FAS in the main hall, or is that not on B? Ah, of course, just gatekeeping it for you. So this is probably one of the biggest differences between the remake and 2, is where there's been like an almost 20-year jump in development. Like a lot of the zombies are just a lot more intelligent, and the enemies too. In the remake, in this game, they're fairly consistent. Like there is a bit of RNG to like their positioning or what they might do, but nothing compared to say like the remake, where zombies can kind of traverse between rooms and kind of just get in the way.
Also, the zombie guarding that first aid spray is Snake's favorite zombie.
Completely forgot to shoot the floor.
Oh, Ellen.
This is literally going from bad to worse. Well,
Hey, I can't reach the ventilation hole. I'm going to have to find another way around. I'll catch up with you.
oh man, I'm screwed.
What? Ada, wait!
He might kill me. He's gonna kill me. No.
Oh, got out with 45 HP.
I found the girl, and I've cleared the wreckage that was blocking the corridor.
Got it.
Library takes another victim. Or almost.
So we're now heading to where Snake's at in the RPD2. What's interesting with the zapping feature is like on Claire A, which we would have needed to beat to unlock this section or this scenario, you would have blown up and put out like the helicopter fire, and you would have blown up the wreckage so you can get to the chief's room. And now with that kind of information thrown over to Leon, he can now go over there too and grab what we need, which is just one item. But there are quite a few lickers kind of in the way between there and then. So where Snake's had a few memes, I'm sure I've got a few waiting for me upstairs.
Also, the thing, if you like play A and B on OG casually, you would kind of play one first and kind of place in how you played it as well. If you did turn down shudders and whatnot, how many zombies you get everywhere and stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. It's like you mentioned with the shutters. Like when I was playing this on the GameCube recently to set up saves for B. Oh, it's not great. We're pushing them off though. So like when you're setting up these saves, you know, you need to do certain things like putting down the shutters and just making sure that the zombies don't pop up.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this corridor is nice and clear. I think if this was A, this would have been a bit more of a clencher, I think.
You don't really run Leon B or Claire B off a speedrun kind of saves, because that would be rough.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like if you've not done any of the optional things. I mean, the speedrun doesn't really... Like, I guess it's a good example of the zapping system of how it works. But I guess if you were playing it casually, like, you know, there are more things like there's an item locker, like a weapons locker in the basement. you can, as Claire, grab the submachine gun and then leave the side pack for Leon, kind of vice versa.
Yeah, the game really says it to you as well. You should probably leave this for Leon. You can take it anyway, but the game actually says to you. I'll give you a clue on what's about to happen, I guess.
I'm just heading to prison. We've got to do a little
Almost
dog
out of the
dodge.
RPD, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm out of it now, basically. I'm just in the parking lot. This is quite simple dodge, if I get it. It's just a simple line. But apparently they don't want to behave. That shouldn't happen.
It's that dog marathon orange.
Oh my
They
God.
know full on what you're doing. They know what's happening. They suddenly become a lot more aware than they have ever been.
There was like nothing wrong with my line at all, but they just decided no.
Today, my friend, not today.
So you can see there's a big old hole right next to the helicopter, which wasn't there. I'm going to try and bait this liquor with 4 steps. Oh. And hopefully, I don't think we've done it right, but if we did do it right, he would have swiped and ran into the corner. So, oh, that was a massive hit. But thankfully, we've just got a healing item, which I didn't really want to use now. You can almost see the blood there in the pre-rendered background. Okay, I'm happy with that. Or as happy as you can be, I suppose. We've got this little, I like to call it a little gauntlet of liquors here. Unfortunately, not the only thing that's out to get us at the moment. I mean, we had Mr. X burst through a wall a couple of minutes ago. Twice.
So you can get out of basically the police station area.
I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, I'm at full HP right now, but we're going to have to take a hit on this section with Mr. X. There is a way to dodge. It is almost, it has to be perfect movement, and if you do get it wrong, it is pretty much GG. He'll do an attack where he kind of swings his arm and knocks you over, and he will get you stuck in that corner where you are just kind of forced to take several hits for a good while. Second lick is very nice there. We're going to have to menu a few things here as well. Because we took the shotgun, we have to get rid of a couple of items here, so I'm going to swap those. Grab the handgun, grab the valve for the sewers later.
Where we like kind of leave the police station area, where we go to connects to the RPD, so later on if you wanted to go back, there's a door that leads up to the RPD, which would allow us to go back and get any extra items we want, stuff like that.
I really like that in the remake, how you could go back and get some extra upgrades. I mean, there's like a trophy or an achievement you can get.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
big difference in the library here. Like, seeing how chaotic it was for Snake, and then here, there's just nothing in here but a load of bookshelves. They were definitely paying attention to how people were playing the original and thinking, you know, how can we spice this up?
Yeah, they really spiced that area up.
Like,
too much.
like playing the remake for the first time, like, oh, the library, we're safe in here. Oh, think again, you're not.
But we're almost out of the RPD here. Within the next few minutes, we'll finally be facing G1, who Snake fought a good while ago now.
To be fair, RPD2's mess up, apart from the zombie outside the lever grabbing me, was totally my own doing. I just completely forgot to shoot the floor.
And that's definitely a big part of the remake, is like where you have to mimic certain zombies in a certain way, because if it was the original, you know, you're going from one room to another. So any minute you do between rooms wouldn't exactly work, whereas in the remake, that's something you now have to worry about, because there's no like loading screens, everything's fairly seamless, like you're from one room to another.
Get away! No! Ben! Can you still hear me? Come on, answer!
Does the crocodile like encounter change at all in the B scenario, or is it kind of the same, like left, right, left?
Completely insane. Or, so as PC players will call it, the combination to get past the crocodile is Ada.
Co-conspirator.
So I guess one thing is Ben has, I guess he has less of a, like his screen time is less in the remake. He pretty much dies a minute after you meet him, but he has about the same amount of impact, I guess. The death here isn't as insane as it is in the A scenario where he kind of splits in half.
Leon.
Here he's just kind of beaten down by Birkin. But it's the same kind of like he's still holding on to some evidence against Umbrella in both like the remake and the original. I think it just changes. I think in the remake it's a tape from Ben speaking to Annette, and then here it's like a mail to the chief.
We can also say that Dad is back and have another $5 donation saying, "Hey everyone, Dad here, just reminding you, stay hydrated. Good luck on the race."
Thank you so much, and yes, got to stay hydrated, absolutely.
I can also say that we are raising money for the Trevor project during this marathon this weekend. So they help out to help the LGBTQ youth in crisis and ensuring that they know that they are not alone. So if you want to donate to that cause, which is a great cause in my opinion, click the donate panel or use exclamation point donate in chat. If you want to know more about the Trevor project, do exclamation point share it in chat.
Just on the approach here to the first fight of the run, where Snake fought G1 a fair bit ago, we're now facing him about 23 minutes into the run.
And I'm
Definitely
now
works a lot
playing as Ada.
Whereas I did that earlier.
And the electronic little device you see that basically like allows us to access areas. It's funny because when you first pick up the thing, you think, "Oh, I've got a grappling gun," but then you realise quickly what it is. Because a lot of people would probably associate the grappling gun with Ada after RE4.
Yeah, good old hook shot.
Just got a swipe. Just got hit by his pipe there, and it leaves us at 110 HP, which isn't terrible because we do have a free heal coming up soon in a cutscene. But with that, Birkin, much like in the remake, kind of falling off. We'll hopefully not have to see him again. But no, I definitely thought it was a little hook shot, because I guess that's what Ada has in 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a iconic like weapon.
You see it a few times in the regular like RE4, but if you play her scenario, you use it all the time, like separate ways. People, would be nice addition as some DLC to the remake of RE4.
Hopefully coming soon. What I like is how drastically different this section is in the remake. I think it's definitely better in the remake. I think you don't really do too much as Ada in the original. You push a couple of boxes. You can maybe grab a couple of extra items if you're playing it casually. Like you can grab some shotgun shells for Leon. Yeah. But it is fairly limited, whereas with Ada, you know, in the remake, it does feel like you're doing quite a bit.
And you're actually doing something, yeah.
But even though we've both done things at very different paces, both pretty much at the same time now in the sewers and shot. Or it's about to get shot in my case.
Leon, that woman was.
And I haven't spoke about it yet because I haven't been able to really stop. But this section I'll be able to explain it a bit better. So first of all, we do this to lower the DA. DA stands for difficulty adjustment. Basically, from like RE4 onwards, they added something called DA, which depending on in each action you take, the DA goes up and down. So like picking up heals, stuff. But the thing I wanted to explain was about this tool. So basically, you see that I move before it finishes. It has a bit of like a buffer, where it allows me not to actually go all the way to the end. So you see like I can let go there, and it still breaks it. So it's quite a nice thing that when you're speedrunning you learn how to save a few extra seconds.
And we didn't? Was exactly the same room right now, actually. I think we're in the exact same room. I'm being held at gunpoint. Ada's about to get something thrown at her.
John's dead.
Another thing to talk about as well in terms of like DA is like fights, taking them down, stuff like that. And also, you would have noticed that I was in fine as Ada, and those that have played Claire know that the females in the Resident Evil engine run faster in Caution, but because we take control of Ada for so little time, putting her on Caution actually loses time rather than saves time.
Precisely. My husband, William.
It's definitely one of the more interesting quirks, because I think with the other two races we've done of like remake versus original, it's both been with Claire, so you might spend the most of the run in Caution, like to get the most amount of speed with movement. Here it all changes. I think the movement speed doesn't change with Leon, does it? With like fine and Caution, does it?
No, it's just danger. He just turns slower. It's like quick turns would be slower and whatnot.
Also pretty interesting if you go the discussion about Claire, like you go into Caution and Remake, and in the OG speedrun with Claire, it's all HP management to not go into Caution.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So one thing I did earlier on in this, I unequipped the handgun straight away. That's because in this cutscene, when you run into it, Ada like gets shot at and she drops the handgun. So at the end of the cutscene, she then has to reach for the handgun. It's a bit of an advantage because it also starts us off in a position where we can just start running, which makes life just a little bit easier. But we gain control as Leon pretty much.
Maybe
after
about
Snake
3 or
hit.
4 seconds, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's not something I know about until like I really started running like Leon B, but it's one of those easy time saves that you definitely have to take. So one thing you're going to notice is like the sheer difference between the sewers. Aside from maybe a couple of similar looking sections here, like the room we're in now, for the most part the sewers were completely revamped in the remake, which I think was for the best. I think with how much they fleshed it out and how much new stuff they've added, it really does make it stand out as like its own section.
There's like the original sewers is kind of like oh, you need sewer, I'm at sewers, this area is easy. And then in the remake it's like, damn, I'm in the sewers, I suppose we're going back to the main menu soon.
That's very true. I think with the sewers in the original here, like especially on the B scenario with how chaotic it is in the beginning, it is a nice breath of fresh air. Where Snake had to deal with the crocodile, we don't have to. You can in the B scenario. So in the A scenario, when you're playing as Claire, if you decide to not drop the gas canister to blow up the crocodile, if you instead just kind of put all your ammo into it, it will run away. And I think it comes back in the B scenario if you don't do that. But obviously for the sake of the speed run, we're going to make sure that's set up and ready to go.
You would probably never not kill him casually either, so it was a very easy kill.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think I've ever done it the other way. I don't think I've ever tried to take him down.
I've only seen clips of it. I've never actually done it myself.
Yeah, because I think he like barges through the wall and runs away, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind. Let's
One little
I've
great
watched
thing
a few
here.
people do like knife only speedrun, so that's the only reason I've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, the croc on like it considered like I guess some people probably don't even consider it a boss until you do it on knife only and you can't.
Then it's a
knife the
real
gas
boss.
canister. And it is,
Yeah.
it truly is the real final boss of the game. We've got a bandage on. I don't know if it's because of maybe it's intentional, but we've just gotten a free heal. So you have 200 HP in this game. Once you get to 100, once you get to less than 200, I think it's like 100.
Essentially
You go to
half,
caution.
yeah.
Yeah.
With this, we've just gotten a free boost. So we were at 110 HP. So we were on the brink of hitting caution if we just took one extra hit. And now we're at full 200 with the bandages. That aid us so kindly.
You really see a difference between our games. Like my max health is 1,200, and yours is 200.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like I guess I think the zombies I'm assuming the zombies do a lot more damage. Ada just gets
Oh, yeah.
poisoned here. I think it is possible for your partner in the game to die, but thankfully we don't have to deal with her for that long. So even though she's going to have her hand on her side, we'll get rid of her in a minute.
In the OG here, Leon is a bit dramatic because he's getting shot with a handgun and he calls the person that shot him a sniper, so...
The enemy sniper, God me.
Someone with a PSG-1 on the other side of the... Who shot him or something.
Sniper Wolf just spawned into Resident Evil.
So we're pretty much out of the sewers now, which is crazy because I think when you compare RPD 1 and RPD 2 in the remake to the original, Snake was out of there a lot quicker, but because of how much further expanded it is in the remake, I'm out of there a lot earlier than he is.
I suppose the way you could look at it is Sawnek spent the whole of RPD looking for these plugs that I'm picking up, the chess pieces, whereas I spend the whole of the sewers doing it.
I love that they did find a way to reuse it, because I was a little... When I first played the remake on launch, I was a little bit worried that they were going to kind of get rid of it. But no, they ended up reusing it. And that's the thing you'll notice, is they kind of remix things in the remake quite a bit. Like Kendo's gunshot usually at the beginning, now in like the midpoint in the game.
They actually gave away a file too to kind of explain why there were plugs too. Like it's a sewer company that owned by a chess fan, so...
I love how complicated Resident Evil puzzles are.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine living in a world like that. Just...
Like, super tight.
I did see that. That was...
Whoa,
that was
yeah.
terrifying, that was. So the little fight I just had on the train, on the little cable car, you won't really see it in Snake's run, because it is in the game, but Snake's going to circumvent it. It's kind of been redone with the claw coming through the ceiling. Now we're at the factory here. Oh, very nice dodge as well.
So that Giado, you have to shoot in the eye, and it like wakes him up and stuns him. There is you can go up on the ledge, and a lot of people will do that on the A side. B side, you can do it, but a zombie spawns there on B side, and I actually think this way is safer than doing it the easy way, because yeah, that zombie is a pain.
So we're in a part here which isn't actually in the remake. I think they kind of redo it a little bit. I guess because the sewers are so short in the original that they had this kind of factory area where we have to call up the train. Whereas in the remake, because they've expanded on the sewers so much, there isn't much of a need for it. But it also means there's one less Mr. X encounter which we have to deal with here. Now, again, there is a way to dodge that here. It's a little bit more difficult. So I just opt to take the hit from him.
And later on, they actually reused this area for Resident Evil 0 too.
Yeah, they would later go on to reuse it, wouldn't they? Which, when I was younger, I always thought, oh, that means they're remaking 2, right? Like, that's probably one of the early sections, and we wouldn't get a remake for like a fair while after that.
Imagine having gotten a RE1 remake, RE2 remake. That would have been amazing. Back in 2010.
My graphics down to 50. This is to ensure during like the boss fight that we hold 120 frames. This is because our knife damage is tied to frame rate.
I was actually making the comparison yesterday between Chris's knife in a range mode for when we were fighting Yawn and some other enemies, and comparing it to kind of how it works in Resi 2 Remake, to where you want to aim it at a certain point to where you're getting the max amount of damage output with your slashes. But as you're fighting G3 or G2, I'm fighting G3.
Fucked me. I knew he had.
Oh, that is unfortunate, man. I think the fight definitely a lot worse in the remake because you've got the additional kind of element of the shipping container and trying to move it across.
Welcome
It's
back.
still a bit of a clencher on the original, just because when he does damage, he
take it
does some
easy.
serious
We're
damage.
inside Umbrella's secret lab. I'll go find something to treat that wound, so just rest here in the meantime.
But I'll only slow you down with these injuries. Go. Save yourself.
Is it just me, or does everybody always ignore what I say? I told you, it's my job to look after you.
But you'll be in danger if you stay with me. I know I've only known you for a short period of time, but I really enjoy being with you. I know I'm not capable of caring about
Oh,
anyone,
nicely done, dude.
but
I was watching that. I was I was watching that entirety there. I guess with that fight as well, like whereas I'm just focusing on just getting him killed, you can't quite kill him. You've got to focus on just getting him to like below 50% HP, so you can one cycle him with the shipper container. But you really have got a lot more to worry about in that fight. Like for me, it's about positioning in the fight I just did. If you're not in the right position, he will launch a kind of barrage of attacks that take a lot of HP. But now I've entered the secret lab because if it's a Resident Evil game, you can guarantee there's probably a lab at the end of it.
Yes, in
Some kind
some
of
type or form. Yeah.
It could be a factory, it could be a laboratory, it will be some kind of secret facility.
Can also be a dead factory.
So to start off our lovely visit in the labs, we get to deal with the now super lickers, as I like to call them. Do a little bit more damage. There's two of them here to deal with, so I'm going to try and manipulate them. Because, oh, missed the first one. And the second one as well. Kind of got a nice hit on me. I'm going to run in caution for a little bit, because I want to get out of this room. And then use the first aid spray, so we can try and, like, keep our health. But he's not going to be kind to me there. Very close there.
Eventually get a trade off with G2, G3 for that time though, so I'd probably say like 25 seconds on G3 from what I usually get.
Didn't really go as well as I planned. Because like the lickers can't see, you're mostly using sound to really manipulate them, and if I had done it right, they would have both kind of lunged at me and got stuck. So I could have ran and got away with it mostly for free, but unfortunately they decided not to. So both in the labs now, you get to see the big difference, I suppose, between how they redone it. I think the layout is mostly the same, but they have changed a thing here and there.
Sawnek just puts a little like electronic device in and it unlocks like everywhere. I have to get wristbands.
You got to carry your Fitbits around with you.
A Fitbit and the Stream Deck, also known as a modulator.
Oh, I love that. The Stream Deck.
I like Justin, so we just shot Curtis. Curtis is a well-known Resident Evil 2 remake speedrunner, and we named that zombie after him because he can't be beaten.
Also now world record holder of RE0, so Man's a Machine, so I get why he's called that zombie.
Well, this cutscene I've got going right now with the claw is also in the remake. They didn't forget to do it. It's in a slightly different context, but it is still in the run, which is quite interesting. But we're out of the freezer room.
It's kind of different. So you see this little middle area. That is in the OG, but that's where where Sawnek puts in his device to unlock the lab. For me, it's a elevator.
Literally, like, as you were saying that, I was doing that exact thing as well. So it's not like we're both in the same room pretty much, and it's easy to look at them and not be able to tell. But they have got a very similar layout where you've got this kind of central kind of control panel. Going to run past the IVs just as snakes meet in the IVs, which is very interesting.
And IVs in those games are very different to each other.
Oh, absolutely.
where in the OG they are essentially plants, and in the remake it's more like plant-based zombies, I guess.
I guess one of the big things as well with the IVs, like we mentioned, like they're a lot more relaxed in this version. They can, when they do grab you, they do a lot of damage, but for the most part, as long as your movement's okay, you'll get past.
Yeah.
Same can't really be said for the remake, where they really did upgrade them a bit. They're pretty much one-shot kills if they grab you and you don't have a self-defense item. And in a game like Resident Evil Remake and the Run, where you do need certain amounts of self-defense items, it can really mess you up sometimes.
Yeah, that's again an important part about RE2 Remake is to keep hold of the knives you're getting on, especially on 120. Because you use knives for everything.
It's like 60 FPS, you really can just...
I can play more safe with knives,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, you can pick them up as like safeties to like if you get grabbed or something. Whereas really in this game we need to make the most of like the knives.
Yeah, so every knife you pick up you need for a boss at the end of the day.
I do like that they added the self-defense items to the game, like in the second remake, especially after the first remake did it so well.
Yeah.
One thing with this little elevator here is if I hold aim after pushing the button, Leon will actually stand closer to the door, which gets us out quicker. There will be an instance in a minute, like in a couple of minutes or so, where as we're going on that elevator, you'll see that Leon's in the middle, and it's a bit delayed because he now has to walk out of the elevator. Whereas if you're right next to the door, he just turns towards it. But what Snake just did is the freezer room I was talking about earlier. Meanwhile, I'm here kind of getting lectured by Annette one last time.
You don't know anything, do you? You're so gullible. She's one of the operatives sent here by the agency. The only reason why she came here is
The VA for Annette in the OG must have had a good agent to kind of get her script together, like...
Oh, absolutely.
She's not on the screen a lot of times, but when she's on screen, she never stopped talking, so... You know.
So, like, she cannot stop telling you about, like, you know, Umbrella and this and her husband, and there's definitely a bit of a difference between the characters in the remake. I think she seems a less evil in the remake. Like, obviously, she's still working for a very dodgy company.
Yeah.
I'll take a hit here from Mr. X. Final Mr. X encounter in that form, thankfully. But now we've got the B scenario box puzzle. I guess this is probably the closest to an out of bounds glitch.
Oh my god. The Ivy was having a little... I don't know what he's doing. Is he still doing it? No, he's alright now.
I was watching that, so I think I might have messed up my box push. So let's see if it does as well here. Almost went out there, but basically that little, as long as you push it correctly, Leon is able to kind of slip in through that small crack and push it. He shouldn't fit in there really, but he's able to. It's a very specific and precise amount of pushes that we can do that. I think the last time I ran this at FTLG, I think it was my very first marathon run. I messed it up.
On it.
Yeah, I had to do the walk of shame back and redo the whole puzzle again. So a nice little comeback there.
It's pretty funny too when you get it right, and when you start pushing it, the box just moves forward for no reason at all. Like
yeah. And I almost slipped out the other side, and if I did, I would have had to climb over the box and try it again.
Yeah.
But here we'll see the main big difference between Leon B in both the remake and the classic. In the classic, Ada's death, I say with like air quotes, is slightly different. I think in the B scenario in the remake, it more so follows the way it works in the original, where she gets shot and falls off the edge of the platform. Whereas here, she gets thrown into a box and by
Leon,
Mr. X.
please, escape.
No. We're a team. I can't just leave you behind.
It's B-side in the original mixes up the death.
Just a woman.
A and B both follow the same
Nothing
like
more.
process on Remake.
If I remember correctly, I think like the B scenario was never really intended for the remake. It was only ever going to be just a Claire and Leon campaign, but I remember they even said so. But I think last minute they must have added it in, and it's definitely a welcome addition. You know, adding 2 whole new scenarios. But it was one of the big critiques for the remake was, to those who weren't aware that it was meant to be in the game, felt it was a little rushed.
I really feel that way, but I'm glad they put it in because I mean it's not bad. It just could have been explored even further upon. But
Oh, definitely.
Nice.
Just watching Snake here with the knife, just absolutely cutting up G3.
Goodbye, Ada.
carving some bacon.
Typo, but that's fine.
Claire, is that you? Where are you?
I can see you on the monitor, but never mind that right now. Leon, you have to go back and get Sherry for me. I left her in the security office. Please, you must save her.
Very nicely done,
Wait
dude.
a
That was a
second.
solid
What are you
fight.
gonna do? Where are you going?
Hard to get one cycle on
Still have a few loose ends.
B-side without using the grenade, and I'm not comfortable enough using it.
Claire,
What would
are
he say is
you
like the
there?
main big difference between
Claire!
like the B scenario encounter and like the A scenario one?
The DA is just higher, like a lot higher.
Oh, yeah, because the DA goes up quite a bit. In
You
the B
start you start 1,500 higher in this game. Okay.
With both of the escape of the lab now, like in terms of like a lot of the run, we've been timing it for a lot of the same sections. We've been in a lot of the same rooms, doing a lot of the same things. Even though a lot of the early game seems to be drastically different, a lot of the mid to late game seems to kind of line up very nicely here. I've noticed.
Yeah, yeah.
So both in an elevator at the same time, but for me, I'm picking up Sherry because on Claire's side of things, she's currently making the vaccine for Sherry. So I'm going to grab her and take her to the train platform.
I've come to get you out of here. Claire is waiting for you.
I suppose there's probably another big difference is like the character in the B scenario on the original will set the train off. They'll set up the train, get it ready to go. In the remake, I think it's always Claire that calls the train up. And Leon always barely making it.
Interesting on that scene there on Sawnek, it says 3-man gorilla stance. I don't know what that means, but
Definitely something that they never intended to be seen on the PC version. I guess like on the PlayStation.
yeah, you
barely
can barely see it there.
see it.
It's cleaned up a lot for the PC version, especially due to Gemini's patch and all that.
Oh, absolutely. So you're going through the section I was just in, where I was doing the box section. For the most part, it seems like they redid it in a way to where you're kind of running through it at the end.
Claire should be back
At least
soon.
it definitely feels
Yeah.
that way. Like you're going through like the factory area of the lab. Whereas I'm about to set up the train and get it ready to go. You've got to be careful with a lot of these triggers here. With that key on the floor, it's very easy if you're going in a bit of a rush to accidentally examine the boxes on the side.
That Mr. X dodge I just did, very similar to the helicopter one. As long as I'm stood in the right position, you'll get it. If not, you won't get it, I guess. Oh,
So we're actually looking to be facing Mr. X around the same time here. I think you might be getting there just a little bit earlier than me. But you'll see the big difference. I think the fight for the most part is the same in terms of its context. I think I just fight him on the platform. whereas Snake here is going to be fighting him on the lift.
My aim is to stun him 3 times and then just move.
It was like a little dance, isn't it? And you'll remember when I was learning in Leon A standard, the amount of times you're like, do not press shift, stop running.
Yeah.
It really is a dance, isn't it?
Yeah. Pretty much.
So I'm 104 HP. I probably should have healed there, but I've got a first aid spray on me if it goes wrong. But here we are, Super Tyrant versus Super Tyrant. For me, it's drastically different. I've got to do 3 shots of the Magnum and then I'll get the rocket launcher.
The strat really is just to stay in line with his arm, but not his nasty arm. The non-nasty arm. And then just press forward.
Oh, didn't mean to put that. And there you go.
Leon would do well on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, absolutely. I'm hoping that after Resi 2 he was able to get that. His newfound fame and all. We're both on our way here to what is the final boss of the game, which is G5. I think because of a couple of unskippable cutscenes, I probably will get there a little later, but... I also like that the rocket launcher is different. It looks more like in the remake they went for like the Resi 1 rocket launcher, whereas here they've gone for something slightly different. Oh, that's not good. Oh,
Gone with like the Resi 3 rocket launcher in this.
Yeah, that's the one, isn't it? It was in Resi 3. Just gonna get around these zombies. These naked zombies do a lot more damage. Like I said, it's max 200 HP, 50 damage per bite with these guys, so not one you want to mess around with.
What was that?
Warning. Biohazardous outbreak imminent. The emergency system has been activated. This train will detonate. Repeat, this train will
And that's
detonate.
Snake done on his run. I was like, they look like a 53-30, was it?
What's wrong?
Not sure.
I don't know. The door won't open.
And while you're dealing with that, I'm going to go handle him on my end as well. It's interesting to see the difference between the fight, because I think you mostly go for like the knife and the rocket launcher. Whereas here...
You don't even you don't have to use a rocket launcher. It's quicker to do full knife, but I don't trust it yet. I
Here
trust
we're
it
very
with Claire,
specific.
but Leon I don't.
Especially not in a marathon.
Yeah, with Claire I would have done it.
We've got a very specific amount of ammo we need to use, so if you don't have enough ammo, it can be GG here. Got 1 rocket, 4 magnum rounds, 12 handgun shots. It should be more than enough, really. Mostly just trying to use quick shots here, which I didn't really go over, but essentially we're just trying to fire the handgun as quickly as possible. And the fight will end as soon as he starts bleeding everywhere. So, 1 more cutscene to sit through, and we're pretty much good to go here.
He kind of get Sherry trying to link up Leon and Claire. Fortunately, unbeknown to Sherry, Claire's been my wife for about 25 years, so get lost, Leon.
Get out of here, Leon.
Oh, Leon, it's Dante.
I had just enough ammo for that as well. I've just looked at my SRT and see that I have no bullets across the board there, so we made that work. And for me, time is going to be in just about now. So that's time for me. That's a 53-50 for me.
53-12 for me.
GG's, man. But yeah, that's our race, the remake versus the original. I think that's our 3rd race now, which leaves only 1 more scenario left, I suppose.
Yeah, Leon A, but we need to somehow, because I think Leon A is much faster than Leon A, remake, so we may have to think of something else.
No, definitely. I'm trying to remember if it comes into the same time. But no, definitely some interesting differences. I think for the most part, what was really interesting was the fact that the ending of the run kind of synced up almost. Like a lot of the things we were doing were kind of at the same time. But no, GG's, man. That was a really good race.
Yeah, GG's to you. I'm quite surprised I got a 53 considering I died to G2, so I could potentially have PB'd on that without the G2 death.
Oh, that would have been a lovely little marathon PB as well.
And then you had a really
because
rough
we've been
library as well.
Yeah, I had a really horrible RPD too.
Well, I mean, that just goes to show just how rough the B scenario can be on both games. Definitely doesn't hold back on its memes. There is a reason why on both on both remake and original, the B scenario for Leon is considered to be like the most difficult and the most challenging one, I'd say.
Well, on OG, like Claire is a lot nicer on B because you don't have to deal with Cherry as much.
Which is perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see, like, we saw in the beginning of the game, you, like, went different routes and then you essentially meet up anyway at some point. So, interesting to see the same areas in both games at the same time in places.
Absolutely.
But GG on the race, guys. It was an absolute pleasure to watch and talk
Thanks so much for having us on as well. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Tom, for the commentary. You did a really good job. Hope spending time with us must be challenging enough. So.
But no, thank you so much for having us on. I think that's my final run, but I think Snake will be back tomorrow, right? I certainly will. I'm still here, but just in the Codex spirit, I guess.
You'll be Colonel Campbell or Snake. Yeah,
Pepsi Man, let's go.
We're raising money for charity, so if you can help us reach our goal, !donate in chat. Enjoying the event so far? Be sure to follow us for future events.